Ah, dear viewer, another glorious morning in Toronto, and the beautiful afterglow of the sunrise as seen on the lake from the balcony of my beautiful ex-wife's 24th story apartment next to the Don Valley at Bloor and Sherborne. Now you'll be like, what about her privacy, man? This guy doesn't care about anyone's privacy, man. You're right, I don't. Least of all my own. Actually, I have a pet peeve with people who mind me pulling out the camera in public, like, oh, there it goes. Shit. Thank God it didn't break. There goes I know what that is. It's a traffic helicopter. It's either a traffic helicopter or a weather helicopter. Probably a traffic helicopter because we have a lot of, like, it's going towards the Gardner right now, the Gardner Expressway, and it's just vision the probably Don Mills, and they report live traffic. Like in LA, for instance, if you go to LA, they have helicopters there too. But in LA, the helicopters are, well, they're chasing robbers for the most part. That's one of the differences between Toronto and LA. Many other differences. My buddy Ginsberg, Oleg Ginsberg from Russia, the accomplished, amazing musician who one day is going to be on top of the charts if that's what he's looking for. Well, this thing it's great. It didn't break, huh? I was gonna say I thought it was plastic, but it seems to be glass. God's on my side today. I think it's gonna be a good day. Anyhow, my dear viewer, what I wanted to do was, make some concluding remarks. I mean, I've been going on and on in my YouTube channel about the existence of God and things of that nature, and I've been actually having some very interesting interactions with some very interesting people online, aka my nemesis, the atheist group of people. Although I've been told that it's not really a group of people, it's just all people who don't have any beliefs. They don't believe that there's a purpose behind all of this. Like the universe, when they look at the universe, they don't think it was, they think it just is. They don't question what it is. To me, it's self-evident that it's so beautiful and amazing that there's something behind it. Like before any of these trees happened, there was some system according to which these trees happened. Before the sunrise and the sunset and all of this thing that's taking place, there has to be some order somewhere, whether it's in the background or the foreground. But that system predates all of what we see and governs everything that we see. And that system of laws and that system of nature and science is all from God. It has to be. This universe exhibits infinite wisdom and intelligence and design. And that's all it is. You'll be like, well, it's not designed, it just is. What do you mean it just is? The plant has leaves. The leaves gather light. The fruits have seeds in certain ways. Everything has a purpose. Don't you understand? So how can everything have a purpose without there being a purpose? Does that make any sense? So there's all kinds of discussions that I've gotten into, but that's basically, there goes the helicopter again. It's circled around the Gardner. Now it's coming back. It's looking for some action. It's looking for something to report. The guy up there is probably frantic saying, oh my God, it's another slow day. No, nothing like that. It's only 7 in the morning. In about an hour, that guy will have plenty to talk about. He'll probably have 3 or 4 or 5 accidents up and down the way, all the way from the 401 to the 404 to the 400 to the 410. If he goes that way, he probably won't go that far. Gardner Express. You can tell I know Toronto in and out like the back of my hand, literally. I know Toronto better than most Torontonians. I've lived all over the city. Scarborough, Mississauga, Etobicoke, Brampton, Vaughan, downtown, east side, west side, north side, all this kind of stuff. So, I thank God for that. But I've gone through a lot to get to this point, and I'm starting at a new security job here soon, working at this beautiful condominium complex downtown called the Water Club, right next to CN Tower. It might actually be a place where I used to work before on the lower level. I'm not quite sure yet, but anyway, God's great, but that's about it. I mean, I don't really have much to say. There's only one thing and one thing only. It's what you guys call intelligent design. Although, our imams, peace be upon them all, from the family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, the whole family of Prophet Muhammad is what Shia Islam is based on. And they've been talking about this stuff for literally thousands of years. There's books like this thick, literally, about proofs of God and the universe and contingent possibilities. And these guys are also happy when they talk about causality and causal arguments and straw man arguments and all these kinds of different Pascal's wager and infinite regression and all this rubbish. It's just logic. It's logic. It's like this universe is so amazing and everything has a purpose. Therefore, there had to be a designer or some purpose behind it all, some kind of sentient intelligence, really. At the end of the day, we just can't fathom or accept the fact that how could there be a God who just is? Well, if it's not a God who just is, then how could there be a universe that just is? There's something that just was forever. And I submit it wasn't an inanimate blob of material, the universe or energy or whatever it is. It had to be something sentient, some life-giving purpose, some law-creating purpose, right? I mean, God is evident within. God is evident without. God is evident in these plants. God is evident with this tobacco and the cigar and the whole lobbying industry and all of this kind of stuff. There's always a purpose and cause and good and evil and all this kind of stuff. So if you don't see it, you don't see it. But it's basically three things. Where did everything come from? Why is everything so amazing, which is the law of intelligent design? And then how's it being managed? Basically, there's a couple of stories I can relate to that extent. How is it being managed? So one day, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, look at all these amazing plants and whatnot that my wife my ex-wife is doing on her balcony. She's growing like there's strawberries, and we got a Venus flytrap somewhere, and there's all kinds of fruits and berries and different things, and she's putting such heart and soul into it. She's got fertilizers, and I'm telling you what, man, this lady is amazing. I mean, I'm so blessed to have just known her, let alone have spent 10 years of my life being married to her, or whatever it was, 7 years, and then we separated. But 7's are the favorite number, so I guess that's got to stand for something. But, okay, so Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family is walking with some of his companions, and he sees an old lady with a spinning wheel, and he asks her, what's your proof for the existence of God? Because everyone, according to Islam, should have their own rational proofs for God's existence. It's not something that you're allowed to just believe based on the Quran or based on the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his family, or your parents. So this lady says, well, I'm spinning this spinning wheel. This is how I make my living. And when I stop spinning the spinning wheel, it stops spinning. And he's like, okay, go on. And she's like, so, well, if you look at this universe and all this stuff that's going on in the universe and the world, how's it going? It has to have somebody who's managing all of it. Otherwise, it would not self-subsist or self-maintain itself. That's a cogent argument. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, and his family had, peace be upon him, had the same kind of question. God, how is it that you don't ever sleep? And God said, okay, just... he told him to create a pot, and Moses made a pot and took a pot rather, and he either created it or I'm actually mixing a couple of stories, but he took a pot and he sat there meditating with it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, just hold the pot as long as you can. At a certain point, Moses swooned off to sleep and the pot fell and broke, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal said, well, see, obviously I can't sleep. If I slept, then the universe would be in chaos, right? Who would maintain it? The other story with the pot is as follows, that Moses said to God that, why don't you punish these people finally? Why don't you punish them? Moses actually asked Allah to punish people and wipe out the so-called disbelievers or whatever for many years, actually, if not like decades or centuries. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept putting it off because he's so merciful. And then one day he said to Moses, well, Moses, why don't you make a pot for yourself? Grow a tree. And he grew a tree, And then out of the bark, out of the seed of that tree grew another tree and grew another tree for many years. And then out of that created a pot and finally painted it and all this kind of stuff and created this beautiful little models or something. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he painted them, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, now I want you to, I have to be quiet now because my wife is still asleep. But Moses, after many generations, created these beautiful models from many generations of trees and painting and all this kind of stuff. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, now I want you to break this pot. I want you to break it. Break these pots or models that you've made. And it had taken him like 100 years, a century or so of labor to create these pots. And he said, oh, he was reluctant to do that. So Allah said subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you see how I've created man through countless iterations of evolution and centuries and billions of years of evolution and creation and whatnot to arrive at this perfect species of humans, and you want me to just wipe them out, you know? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Azza wa Jal was demonstrating his attachment. So these kinds of stories to atheists are fairy tales. But all we say is this, that this is a theory. I could be wrong. Islam teaches me to submit to the fact that I could be wrong, and I will not know for sure until I'm dead. It doesn't mean that I should seek death per se, although we've been told that death is a gift for a believer. Death is an invitation card to see my beloved. But that doesn't mean I should be suicidal or extreme or something like that. In fact, you should pray for a long life. And the longer you live, the more chance you have to worship God and do good and accumulate blessings for the hereafter. In any case, I'm babbling. Nobody listens to these things anyway. I don't know if I'll ever upload it, let alone get any cogent responses or whatnot. But I'm just doing this just in case there's someone out there that listens to some of this stuff and they find it interesting. And besides, everyone likes talking, and I'm part of that group, and I like talking too, and I'm glad you listened. So take care, be good, and all this kind of nonsense. And say hi to your mom today, for God's sake. Give her a call. Won't you do that? Just do that for me. Just give your mom a call and say, hey mom, how's it going? Thank you for raising me. Thank you for putting up with me for so many years, and I was a sniveling little snot, and I still am, unfortunately, and I'm just beginning to realize how bad I am and how much thanks and gratitude I owe you. Take care. God bless.